All right. So here we are. We are down. We are down a member of Table for Two plus you, but that's okay. You get us. You get Andrew and I, and we're gonna we both are kind of on the same level, I think, with this episode anyway. So this should be fun. Um, but yes, welcome to another episode of Table for Two plus you, Electric Boogaloo. I am one of your hosts, Will, and of course, this is Andrew, your other host for the evening, and we're gonna take you through this last episode of Impact before Bound for Glory pay per view happened. So I really kind of hope that Bound for Glory is better than this episode.
I I did not feel like we were bound for glory in watching this episode. So
No, I thought we were more crash and burn. I mean, it's like so. Yeah. So all right. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So we're gonna talk about the exclusive match that I actually didn't know happened until I saw something. So I had to go back and find it. This is the one between Kylan Kane and Jody Threat. It starts off this sort of pre-show, I guess you might call it. And my opinion, and I can just flat out on this one, we can talk more specifics on it, but mine is this should not have been a pre-show match. This should have been in the actual episode because it was, and we had talked about it earlier, it was a better match than some of the matches that were in the episode.
absolutely.
So I'll let you hit it off, and you go to town.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a shame that it was on kind of their pre-show lead in to Impact, especially because I feel like there's been a lot of build-up to this kind of between these two competitors. I gotta say, I don't know if something's going on behind the scenes, but I wasn't thrilled with the way they just suddenly split up the coven, kind of announcing that Kylan King attacked her partner. Um, but that aside, they've been building up this tension between Threat and King, and the match was super solid, and like they both got to play into their aggression. King looked like a really good conniving heel. I thought this was a better heel, kind of. I mean, she was not necessarily a face before this, but more of a clean turn with the whole faking the injury moment
Oh yeah,
to get the win. Then her like random like I'm so mad at this person. I'm so mad at this person. Oh no, actually it was me. I attacked my partner.
yeah, it's
Um,
totally me.
and yeah, I think I'm hoping that what they're doing is they're looking at who's going to be challenging for that title after Mickey James. Colin King's a great threat. I mean, she's a big powerhouse wrestler, and I think she's just gotten better and better since she's kind of made that jump into AEW and Impact and some of
Right,
the bigger promotions.
right.
But yeah, I totally agree. This should have been on the main card. Whether it was Oh god, this card. We'll talk about it more, but there were almost three quarters of the show was promos and packages, and a quarter of it was actual matches. This match should have either taken the place of some of those packages or some of those matches.
Oh
But
my gosh.
if for nothing else, give these two a chance to get out there and show what they can do. But
Yeah,
entertainment wise, it was worth it.
yeah, it was. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And Mikey's here. This is I'm like a broken record on this. When it comes to women's matches, some of these women's matches are 1,000 times better than the men's matches, and that kind of proved it tonight. This one was like I was like hell yeah, and then the men's matches were like warmed over pudding. I mean, it was there. I was like, what is happening? And Impact has a really bad habit of putting these sort of pre matches before their main cards, and they always end up being better. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why are you not putting these in here? Because there are several from this episode that could have been pre show matches that just for whatever, because some of them were just that bad. But yeah, so King drives Jody to the ring and then connects with King's Curse to win. So Kylie King defeats Jody Threat. And then it just sort of, you're right, sort of goes downhill from that point. It's like, now the next fight we're going to talk about wasn't bad. It was pretty good. I personally just don't understand why it was there. And this is coming from, I'm approaching everything from a theatrical standpoint,
Mhm.
storytelling, and other than to get people to rally behind.
Hmm.
I honestly thought the match was kind of pointless. But this is the match between Mike Bailey and Samurai Del Sol. Like I said, I liked the match.
Hmm.
I really did, and I didn't actually know much about either of these two wrestlers.
Mhm.
I mean, I knew a little bit about Mike Bailey because Mikey has told me about him. I didn't know anything about Samurai Del Sol. I had to go Google search and watch some videos, and I really kind of like him. But I thought this match was pretty well even keeled. I thought, I kind of figured that this was going to be a Mike Bailey win because he's going to Bound for Glory to face Will Ospreay, I was like, okay, it wasn't. I don't think it was strong enough to start the night. That was my big thing. I was like, this isn't a bad match, but I think that they started off with that great women's match, and then the official episode begins, and it's sort of like, oh, here you go, and it was like, and it wasn't even a match that, for me now, it wasn't a match that advanced the story at all.
Yeah.
And I know he challenged anybody, come fight me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Samurai was like, I'll do it. And then they did it. And I was like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I was talking to Mikey about it when I was watching it. I was like, I just don't understand why this match happened. I mean, truly, I don't understand the purpose of it. It was a great match, like I said, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand the purpose of it.
Yeah, I think you're right about the. It was basically a showcase match for Mike Bailey. It was a chance for him to come in with some heat going into his Bound for Glory match. I thought the match wrestling quality, the sequences that happen, it was probably one of the cleanest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But it also had the least amount of tie-in, really, to what was coming up in Bound for Glory. But that said, I feel like a lot of the things that were put out there with the idea of leading us into Bound for Glory missed the mark almost just as much as this match did, and had less of the entertainment factor. Because there were moments throughout this match that I had an audible response to it. The thrust kick that Mike Bailey threw and Samurai Del Sol did like the lean back, and they both kind of held there for a moment.
Yeah.
And then the finish, Mike Bailey's finish, the Ultima Weapon. Whoa, I saw that and I jumped up out of my seat. That was so clean, so clean. But again, it was a lot. It was a lot of flavor but no substance kind of a thing to it. But I will say it got me excited for later on in the night when we saw the package of Bailey versus Ospreay, and made me go like, okay, this could be the match that takes it at Bound for Glory, even though it's really the only match at Bound for Glory that isn't for anything.
Right. Oh, I totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. It got me. That is one thing that it did do. I will admit, is like, okay, I didn't know much about Mike Bailey, but this match got me excited for him. And then later on in the episode, we do get the packaging with Will Ospreay and all that, and I was like, gosh, this match could be on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. So yeah, so Mike Bailey he defeats Samurai Del Sol, and again, I really did like this, and I agree with you. I audibly was like, "Wow!" At the end of that, I was like, "Oh my god!" Some of the I think I may have gotten out of my chair too. I'm not really sure, but it did move me quite a bit. I was like, "Whoa!" Yeah, it was great. So this was a decent
Mhm.
start. You know, it wasn't the strongest, but then we get the first of our backstage stuff, and this is with Dirty Dango. And he's introducing Oleg
Mhm.
Prudius, and
Mhm.
of course, you know, their whole troop back there. And I was messaging Mikey during this, and I'm just like, this guy is gross. Dango is gross. He is just gross. And good for him for creating a character that I
Mhm.
absolutely despise. And but is it what's his companion? Bravo? Is it
Alpha Bravo.
Alpha Bravo?
Yeah.
And then the whole, you know, oh, I'm not mad at you, but
Yeah.
it's like mob hits back there. I was like, is he
Yeah.
about to like knock him off? I was like, what is going on? So yeah, this and I also if that man did not stop smacking his gum, I was literally going to reach through my television and snap his neck because I was like, oh no, I would jump him in the parking lot. I was like, just for smacking gum. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So your thoughts on this lovely little vignette?
um I the first couple of promos I saw of this when they were a duo, kind of together, I wasn't feeling it. This one, I was feeling more of the heel trio kind of group that they're putting together. You know, now he's got some muscle in his corner. Um, I liked that at one moment he talked about one of the old factions and Impact and joked about their flared out pants and how that gimmick will never work, kind of knocking back to his WWE character.
Yeah.
Um, the biggest thing for me in this is I it feels like it's just missing that like one thing, and I'm just I need it to spark something. But I was more invested in his character work in this promo than I've been in most of the matches that I've seen of his recently.
I will agree with you on that. It's like this is probably the most engaged I have ever been with him, and because it literally elicited a
Yeah,
response from me, and I was like, okay, that's what I was telling Mike. I was like, okay, I'm invested now.
yeah.
He's got me now, damn it. And I was like, okay, uh, he he's just one of those, and I agree. I think this is wonderful that one of the things I think that's so great about this is that he's always so like, oh, professional wrestling is stupid. You know, you're all fans are dumb, and you do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like literally doing everything that he has moaned about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you okay? I'm with you now. I'm totally on board with you now. You're absolutely disgusting, and I love you. And so we have Dirty Dango because he is the number 20 in the
Hmm.
Call Your
Hmm.
Shot Gauntlet because he pinned Jake something, who will be the first number one in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet when we get to Bound for Glory. So then this happened, and then we get another one right after this with ABC talking about the Rascals and how basically they defaced the belts and this. Basically it was a lot of trash talk.
Hmm.
And I'm really kind of excited actually about ABC versus Rascals. I didn't know
Yeah.
how if I was gonna be or not, and then this kind of I was like, okay, because the Rascals are one of my favorite bad guy wrestler teams because they're
Hmm.
just obnoxious. They're just so obnoxious. And ABC, I love ABC because you have these two characters who are very juxtaposed into what society thinks that they should be. Like the
Hmm.
white boy is kind of the idiot in this group,
Hmm.
to be honest, and I love it. I'm loving
Hmm.
every minute. And the black man is more like on top of things, and it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's like when they were the whole, ABC one,
Hmm.
two, three, and he's like,
Hmm.
stop. but I do. I'm really kind of excited about this match at Bound for Glory. So I will say there are a lot of these ridiculous promos, but some of them
Hmm.
actually got me excited about Bound for Glory. Thinking, okay, maybe we're gonna get something good. so so yeah, I'll let you please by all means take it away.
I, I mean, I thought it was a good promo. I think this match probably needs some of the least amount. It's funny because I feel like it needs some of the least amount of buildup because both teams are really kind of high octane tag teams. Um, but they've also had the most consistent build. They've been going at each other for a while. Um, so there's more backstory and more consistency with that story. Um, but I was happy it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Um, it does kind of present ABC as being the cleaner, more cohesive team, as where the Rascals are kind of that like down and dirty. They're going to cheat to win, as they always do. Which kind of makes me hope that that's going to backfire and ABC will kind of take a page out of their book and win from them in that case. But yeah, I mean, I think you've got four solid wrestlers making up two tag teams. That this could be another great match too, and I think it's interesting that a lot of the really exciting matches are some of the younger performers, and the more established, long-term and veteran wrestlers. I just don't feel as invested in. Um, but yeah, no, I thought it was a good promo. It built up what it needed to do.
And yeah, that was one of the great things about it. It was short, it was sweet, it told us what it needed to tell us, and it moved on.
Yep.
So I was like, yes. Then we get into our next match, which is Kenny King with Sheldon Jean versus Heath. Now, I was actually kind of excited for this match because I think Kenny King has been shafted. I mean, with the whole Tommy Dreamer
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I mean, they just kept putting him with people that he just had to like pull his punches and he couldn't do anything. And then I think in this one, especially with Heath, because Heath is the one that messed it up for him.
Yep.
I thought, okay, this is going to be a great match, and it was okay. It wasn't what I was hoping it would be. I thought that it would be. I thought it would be stronger for Kenny King, and because I wanted so much for him because I just felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
And then we put him up against Heath, who I really like. And I thought, oh, this is great. These are two really good wrestlers. They're going to come together, and it's going to be this like amazing match.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't. At least not to me. I didn't feel that it was. I don't feel that it was adequate enough for either of the wrestlers. Really, I just think this was very again and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I felt like most of this episode was just filler stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just throw some stuff together because it's not an important episode. The pay per view is the big thing, and that's really what it kind of felt like. I was like, which I feel is a disservice to the wrestlers because they work hard for what they do, and I think that they should get quality matches and not just hey, I just need you to go out there and like throw each other around a little bit and whatever and be done. And I felt that it was just lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the moves were okay; they had some really good moves, but even the moves were kind of
Mm-hmm.
no. I mean, I don't know. I was a little disappointed in this match.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I thought it was a solid match. Obviously, both of them know how to go out and wrestle, but I just had no investment in it. I didn't care going into the match really, and nothing in the match made me care anymore. Um, I thought it was weird that, and especially having watched the kind of pre-show match with King and Threat, that they did almost the exact same thing, except it wasn't fake. Well, it wasn't faking it for the match this time with Heath getting injured, but I don't feel like they needed that angle I think it kind of, like you said, it kind of did a disservice to Kenny King. It fit for him going after that injury to make him like seem like he's more vicious, but I think you could have got that without having to have Keith get injured.
Yeah.
um but yeah, there was just nothing that stood out in that match. It was just another match between professional
Yeah.
performers. I will
I
say they had a moment in there when I hate it so much, especially because my wife is a dance professor. But having worked in the arts and worked on things, especially like ballet, I hate it when they do this in professional wrestling. I hate it when they do it in mixed martial arts. All this stuff when they say this ain't ballet as a
I
reference
know.
to
Yeah.
it being tough or hard or all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, none of these people out there would survive one day doing ballet. And have you seen what ballet dancers' bodies look like? Like,
Oh my god, I
especially if
know.
you see a ballerina's feet, like, oh
Yeah.
man,
Oh, just
yeah.
it's like,
Like, I just hate when they use that cliche because it's so outdated. Because the idea is you picture a ballerina in pink in a tutu, and you think, oh, it's all soft and
oh
gentle and
no,
everything. And I'm like, no, that takes so much work and it's so
it
hard on your
does.
body.
Oh my god,
Um,
yes.
so I hate it, especially in the companies that are more aware of those things. I hate when they use those tropes. Um, but the match itself, it was kind of the middle of the road match for me. It didn't really do anything for me. I know both of them. I think both of them are in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. But this would have been one of those matches I could have easily switched this out for the
Yeah.
King Threat match, and I would have
Oh
been
yeah. Oh
happier with
yeah.
it. So.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. To follow up on your ballet story, at my when I was in my undergrad, uh, our school's football team had to take ballet class, and I was in modern dance class at the time when they were taking ballet, and to hear these guys talk about dance, about ballet, they're like, "This is
Hmm.
harder than practice, man." They're like, "This is," and and they're in there with these like very petite
Hmm.
women, and they're just flitting across that stage. And they were, oh, it is not easy out there, folks. Dance
Oh
is not
no.
easy. Ballet will kick your butt.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so Kenny King defeats Heath in this match, and I agree with you. This match could not have happened, and I would have been fine,
Yeah.
to be
Totally
honest.
agreed.
Uh, so speaking of other things that I wish would stop, is our next little backstage segment, which we find God bless Frankie Kazarian having some kind of mental breakdown over Eddie Edwards and respecting him and this and that. And I'm just like, I literally was like, can we just stop this now? You beat him, move on.
Hmm.
And now he's all like, no, no, I can't. Oh, God. I love you, man. I'm like, oh, my God. Literally stop talking. It's just like, ah. So this is just one of those. I hope Bound for Glory ends this thing.
Yeah.
If something happens there, which I'm pretty sure it will, I hope it ends whatever the hell this is because I'm so over it. It's
Yeah.
like it's it's not even exciting anymore. I mean, I literally was when it popped on, I was like, oh god. All right, what's he gonna say now? And then he started going crazy. I was just like, what
Hmm.
is happening? Where are you taking this story that I don't really care about anymore? I was just So this whole thing, for me personally, this whole thing can just end, and I'd be okay with it. One
Yeah.
of them needs to go away and be done.
Yeah, it's not serving anyone. It's not serving the wrestlers that are involved. It's not serving the audience. It's not serving any of the divisions. It's actually made me similar to what you were saying. When I see them come up, it makes me go like, "Oh, I don't want to see that. Like, I
Yeah,
don't care. I don't want you to be on the screen anymore." I hope that because I believe it's been announced that Kazarian is wrestling for a shot at the X Division
yeah,
title in a 4-way match at Turning Point. Um, so here's hoping that, like you said, if nothing else, maybe if after Bound for Glory, we can move on to something else with them. But at this point, it's getting to the point where I'm just happy if they just move on and we don't see them
Yeah,
and stuff, which is sad because they're both two performers who have done really good things.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree.
It's just. Ugh. So luckily that ends. And then we go into our next match, which I was thinking was going to be amazing,
Yeah.
and it was not. And this is Crazy Steve versus Black Taurus, with a no disqualification match. This match was the exact same match that we saw Crazy Steve do last time.
Hmm.
There was nothing new, and I'm like, I really like what Crazy Steve's got going on. I like this character, but he needs to he needs to mix it up a bit because I was just like, dude, this is exactly what you did last time. I mean, it was nothing. There was truly nothing new about it. I mean, other than it was a no disqualification match, or like hitting each other with kind of hitting each other with chairs, and and I wanted more from this because I was like, I think all they used were chairs and a trash can, right? If I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
And then the briefcase and a fork.
Oh, that's right, the briefcase.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
I'm
fork
like,
didn't actually even get used.
no, it didn't. And I was like, and I was just like, I really wanted for a no disqualification match. This was really kind of lame.
Yeah.
There was like hardly anything was used, and you could tell what was going to happen. It wasn't like when was it Tarus that set up the chairs down below, I think, and was going to
No,
throw.
no, no.
Or was it the
Steve
opposite?
did, but yeah, then
Yeah, that's what it
yeah,
was. Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I know it's happened. I know it's going to happen. And I
yeah,
was like, okay, it happened. And then I was like, okay. And then I was like, I was just so, and I'm getting kind of tired of the oh no, don't and the I'm like, whatever. I like pulled this on you once before, dude. Don't fall for
yeah.
it. And then he snapped out quick, but I was like, I don't know. This match really just kind of disappointed me, like a lot. I was after this match, I was just sort of like, oh, do I even want to watch the rest of this episode?
Hmm. Yeah, it could have been the same quality of a match without the stipulation. I feel like if you wanted to do this and you wanted to actually have it be that style of match, it should have been the main, which I don't think it should have replaced the main that we got because I think that it was important to have that one, and the people that were in that deserved it. But if that main match wasn't on the card, then this should have been there, so you could have gone big. Um, Especially with those two performers because they're willing to go for that stuff. And there's no it's not like either of them have a big match for Bound for Glory, so it's not like they were like, oh, we have to protect him to make sure no one gets hurt. Um, but yeah, it felt kind of slow. There was a lot of I almost feel like there was supposed to be a table that was supposed to get set up instead of the chairs because Crazy Steve kept looking under multiple sides of the ring, and then eventually he just started pulling out chairs. Which there were two moments on there when Torus went to suplex Steve outside and he got him up vertical. I thought they were going to go like not on purpose, and then he
Yeah, me too.
reversed it back into the ring. And then when Tarus ended up going over the top rope onto the chairs, those chairs did not give. He hit hard, and so it was just it felt, which is crazy for basically a hardcore rules match, it felt a little sloppy at certain points. And the ending was goodish, but it felt like it could have been cleaner. Um, so yeah, it didn't live up to the hype of having that style of a match. I want Steve to take the digital media title, have him hold it, have him, I don't know, make title defenses only in hardcore matches or something. Make them in something to where it's like people are afraid to go in and challenge for this title because of the style of matches that he's going to make them survive through. He's make him into this crazy character. I love his mask for his entrances, the way it opens at the mouth. Um, it's so good, but they need to go there, and I feel like having him sit at the top of a division is a way to do that. Especially when you consider that division um, is the champion's not even there doing anything. And I told Mikey about this at the podcast, at our last podcast show. Was Tommy Dreamer was up here in Northern California at one of the local promotions defending the Digital Media Championship in a 3-way title fight against two other guys. And I was like, oh, that's what he's doing now. Apparently, he's just going to these local indie shows and defending the Digital Media Championship. So it's weird. I don't know what their long term plan is of this, if they have one. But I would like to see it put on Crazy Steve and let him actually be a crazy man leading this division.
And they're setting it up because the last time with him and Dreamer in the ring, and he stabbed him in the back, and then at the end of this match, he crawls towards the camera and says that he's going to take the belt off of him, the title off of him, even if he has to pry it out of his cold, dead hands. And I'm like, okay, you are setting us up for something, and you better damn well deliver it, because I literally, and I agree with you, this match did not feel crazy enough for him. I literally was like, what is happening in this match? You should be like, I was wanting him to like hit him with everything. I was waiting for him to grab somebody out of the audience and hit him. It was like, literally, I was like, but it wasn't crazy enough. And and I agree with you. I agree. He needs to take the title, and he needs to be like, if you want this from me, you're going to play by my rules. You're going to come into my house, and it's going to be like some kind of insane chains hanging from things. And just like, I would love to see Crazy Steve do a cage match, with like crazy shit inside of it. I'm just like, I want to see that. Like, put people in a cage with him.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
They need barbed wire. They need light bulbs. They need all the stuff, thumbtacks, all that stuff.
Everything. Give him every implement he could think of, and let him just annihilate people. To your right, where everyone's like, I ain't going in there with him. It's like, you can go. I'm not going.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. I think this match just wasn't crazy enough for me, and I thought it was a disservice to both of these fighters. And I still want to know how Black Taurus fights in that mask, because that is a real. It's like it's got to be obscuring.
When his mouth moves too, when he opens his mouth, the bottom jaw moves, the horns on it, like
crazy.
It's one of the most unique lucha masks in like all of wrestling.
It is so cool. I always am like, Mikey, how does he wrestle in that thing? It's like, because even Steve takes his off, but I'm like, that. I just think that masks, it kind of screw with your like depth perception and periphery, and I'm like, that's crazy. Good for you, man.
He's got the big ring in there. Yeah.
I'm like, good for you, man. Yeah. You keep doing it. So Crazy Steve does defeat Black Taurus in that by using Belladonna's Kiss, I think is what it was. Yeah, Belladonna's Kiss. And then he, like I said, he crosses the camera and talks directly to good old Tommy Dreamer out there doing weird stuff. So then we get a sort of like who all is going to be involved in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet at Bound for Glory, which is Brian Myers, Eric Young, Dirty Dango, Bully Ray,
Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace, which I'm really excited that Jordan Grace is mixed in there, because that was great. Jake something.
Oh, Giselle Shaw.
Joe Hendry's in it. Frankie Kazarian. Kylan King is in it. Kenny King. Jody Thread and Eddie Edwards, I think. I think that's it.
And well, those are the names we know. I think there will be more. Yeah.
That they announced at this particular day. Which I'm really excited for. I have never seen a Call Your Shot Gauntlet before, and I'm really kind of excited. Mikey was explaining it to me, and I'm like, ooh, okay, all right, okay. I'm excited. So that's got me kind of excited about. Then we cut to Gia Miller interviewing Trinity and Mickey James, and this is one of my highlights of the night
Mm.
because I love that Trinity and Mickey James, when they're talking about competing against each other, it's like the spirit of competition.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to hate each other. We don't have to do any of that. It's literally like we fight, I win or you win. And that was, they're so classy, and I love that. I love Trinity because Trinity is one of my favorite female wrestlers. Um, and but I just loved this whole interview with the two of them. It was just so just sportsman-like. It was like, and of course they are eventually they're going to team up against Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. And I love how they're like the best women are gonna win this match, and I'm just like, God, I just love that. It was this was truly one of my highlight moments of the night because I just love these two women. I truly do, and I was so excited for this one. So how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that really comes across with the two of them is you get this feeling when you're like watching any, athletes compete for a position. Um, a lot of the trash talk and posturing and all that stuff is often to kind of try and overcome some insecurities or doubts about their performance. And you've got Mickey James, who has had, a stellar career. Is kind of part of that just previous generation. She's heading into Legends status. She's still going. And then you've got Trinity, who, was part of that new wave of women's wrestlers in WWE, kind of got overshadowed by the big four. But she has done so much with everything that she's been given. So you've got these two, and the way that they interact really reads as that they are confident and secure in who they are and what they've done. And so there's no need to put the other one down. There's no need to try and posture and come across in a certain way. They're just like, hey, we're going to go out there. I know I'm the best that I can be. You're the best that you can be. We're going to go out there, and whoever's the best on that night is going to be the one that walks away with the title. And it just really tells to who they are, in that company in professional wrestling, and it kind of gives you that sense of competency. And it's something we rarely see, especially when people are competing for titles in wrestling. We're used to face versus heel. We're used to that kind of dynamic, and in this case, it really is just two top tier wrestlers going at it for that title.
And I think it's very rare that we see anything like this in men's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's very face versus heel, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like we're both really we're professional wrestlers and we respect each other and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. We don't really see a lot of that in the men's matches, which is unfortunate
Mm-hmm.
because I think men are missing an opportunity here. All right, so we go from that to our next match. Yeah. This is Rhino and PCO versus Moose and Brian Myers. I'm gonna let you start on this one.
I will say this was my low point of the night. This match ranked the lowest for me, and the fact that you had those four people in there, whether it's length of career, name recognition, all this stuff, I would have taken 100% the King and Threat match over this match every time. This match felt sloppy. It felt like Myers and Moose had to slow down a lot for Rhino and PCO. I it just it didn't do anything for me. It didn't hype me up for the Monsters Ball match. Um, I was actually more excited about that match, hearing about it before than after this match took place. Um, I don't know what they're doing with Bully Ray, and that and the segment after, it was so weird. But yeah, this match just didn't do anything for me. It
No, I was so bored in this match, and you're right. It's like, and I hate this. I hate when they put like Rhino and PCO against like Moose and
mhm,
Myers, who you're right, who had to literally hold back
mhm,
because it's just like, and it's just like stop doing that. Stop putting these wrestlers who should not be put together.
mhm,
Unless they're capable of keeping up with one another. No one should have to pull back just so they don't hurt somebody. And I agree. I don't understand the Bully Ray thing. I just don't. I don't get it. And I know they've been trying to set it up in previous episodes between him and Macklin, and now they bring Rhino into it. And when he goes, I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? It's like Macklin comes out and interferes, of course,
mhm,
because Macklin doesn't know what the hell he wants to be right now, and he's one of those characters that I really don't care for. He's given me nothing to care for. I literally don't give a crap. So he comes out and he interferes, and then Bully Ray comes out and stands in between him and Rhino, and then he just looks at him. It's like, and then of course Macklin gets nailed, and then we get that moment backstage after the match where Rhino confronts Bully Ray, and he's like, "I don't know about you. I don't trust you. I don't need your help, basically."
yeah,
And he's like, "You're welcome." And I'm like, "What was the purpose of that?" Like, I mean, because his beef was with Macklin, or Macklin's beef was
mhm,
with Bully Ray, but all of a sudden you bring Rhino into it, and I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, maybe they're trying to set up for something later on the road. I don't know, but it this match was ridiculously stupid. I'm just
yeah,
like, and I'm just like, why do you have basically the exact same people fighting that you're basically going to have at Bound for Glory,
yeah,
minus Macklin, who eventually comes in at the end, and it's just like, why? What's the purpose of this match? There was no purpose to it. At least I didn't feel there was a purpose to it, and I thought it was a waste of my time. And because one, it didn't advance any of the storylines. I mean,
mhm,
we know that we're going to see Rhino, PCO, and Moose at Bound for Glory with Macklin, and it's like, oh, I'm like, you're right. I was like, this match could have just vanished, like just disappeared into the darkness, and the girls could have sat right in this spot, and I would have been totally happy with that. This
yeah,
this was my least favorite match of the night.
hands down.
Absolutely, it was the worst. I mean, it was the worst.
And the
It's like,
fact that you had six performers in there, six wrestlers in there, and it was the lowest energy point of the card.
yeah, couldn't help it, not at all. I was like, Macklin came in, and I was like, well, this just made this match even stupider.
Yeah,
I was like, and then Bully Ray, and it's like, now the match is completely pointless. I don't even understand what's going on. Why are these people here? Just
yeah.
can we go to the next match, please? It's like, could we just say commercial break and we'll come back with the next match after the commercial? Because I was like, this was so dumb. Ugh. And of course, Moose and Myers defeat Rhino and PCO. Uh, even the win was stupid.
Yeah.
It was just so bad. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. All right, so we get another promo right after this match, which was kind of a thank God.
hmm
But this is on the Knockout World's Tag Team Champions. We have MK Ultra sending a chilling message. I
hmm
love MK Ultra, and I actually really liked this promo
Yeah.
because they are so weird, and I love them. And then she's all talking Russian, and it makes it
hmm
even creepier. And it's just I freaking love these. I love MK Ultra, but they're challenging Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz at Bound for Glory, and I think this match is going to be on fire too. I
Oh yeah.
really do, because man, because Deonna Purrazzo. I love Deonna Purrazzo, and I'm just now being introduced to Tasha Steeles. So, what I've seen of her so far, I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that the two of them will be very, very strong against MK Ultra,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think it'll be a really good. I think it's going to be a really good match. So,
Yeah, I thought this promo was probably the best promo of the night. I thought the cinematography of it, the way they set them up, it fit for those two so well. Like if you were jumping into Impact Wrestling and you watched this, you're like, oh yeah, that's a tag team that's gonna like who's gonna beat them. They've got that creep factor, they've got the scariness. The way that they splice together the actual clips of them speaking and then of them, interacting and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that I started realizing as I was watching this promo uh, is that I feel like the Knockouts tag division right now is super thin. Like the Coven is broken up now, so we've got MK Ultra and we've got the Death Dolls. Those are really the only tag teams we have. So they've put Purrazzo and Steeles together. I I do think that I'd like to see Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans maybe go after the tag division since they already work well together, and they're a great combination of a smaller, speedier performer and a big powerhouse. And Shaw's character work is she's just a heel you'd
great.
want to.
I love Giselle.
Yeah. And so I would like to see them develop some more tag teams to go against, teams like MK Ultra that are so great as a tag team. So I'm hoping that after this kind of championship challenge happens, that we get to see some more development in that area. Because I love the fact that we actually have a good women's tag team championship out of all of the big companies. I really wish we had one that kind of floated between AEW and Ring of Honor, because I think that would help kind of promote some of their women's wrestlers, though Ring of Honor is much better at it than AEW. And there's some really good talent in Impact that I think could get served by having some more screen time by teaming some people up more than just, oh, you're two singles competitors and we don't know what else to do with you, so let's throw you together, but actually develop some solid tag teams. Because I don't know how soon we're going to see the Death Dolls in the title picture again, because I feel like they kind of fell down and are working their way back up. But yeah, this promo was awesome. I thought it was definitely one of the better parts of the evening.
I agree. I totally agree. Now, right after this is actually when we get the Rhino confronting Bully Ray,
Mm-hmm.
which we're not going to talk about again because it was done. But then then they do the announcement about Will Ospreay takes on Mike Bailey, and then we get into this next sequence, and I don't really know how to feel about this. I think it starts off slow and a little convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, we have Impact President Scott D'Amore moderating, quote unquote, a sit down interview between Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander, talking about their championship fight at Bound for Glory. And I was texting Mikey during this, and the whole time I was like, Alex Shelley is a lot of like wham 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 me, like, and it was so great because very much the way they made it look is that like Alex Shelley is like the immature child, and Josh Alexander is the very like calm and rational adult. And I was just like, and he kept that thing on his shoulder. He was like fidgeting with that belt, and I was just like, somebody's a little insecure.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going, and then tensions start rising, of course, because they start talking smack, and then at one point Alex gets up and runs out of the room, and Scott D'Amore's like, Josh, hold on a second. Like, he goes out, And then it shoots to Josh sitting in his little room there waiting, and then out of nowhere, Alex Shelley like nails him, and then they start fighting. And I was just like, it didn't get to me. It didn't really get all that exciting until they started fighting,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole beginning of this, I was like, they were trying. It looks like they were trying to make it look like they were in two remote locations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I feel like this should have happened 3 weeks ago. I feel like this build up for this match is like 3 weeks behind, um, because this was the biggest glimpse into seeing exactly what Alex Shelley's motivations are, and it was kind of like we were talking about Trinity and Mickey James, about how they come across in this way that they're not insecure, they're comfortable and confident in what they are and who they are, um, as where Alex Shelley is trying so hard to convince you and convince himself who he is, that it's showing that it's like he doesn't actually believe it. But we needed to see that a while ago because it makes sense. He has those insecurities. He sees someone like Josh Alexander, who his questioning what he can do is the fact that he worked so hard to get to where he was, and then he lost it by no fault of his own. And so now he's trying to get back to that glory he once had. And Shelley sees that as a legitimate threat because he has insecurities and believing that he could beat Josh Alexander. But we needed this build up before, not 2 days out from the big showdown, um, because it wasn't until that moment when Josh Alexander really hit that sore spot in Alex Shelley that I was kind of half listening to it, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, huh, oh, this is
Yeah,
interesting. And then when he left, and I could tell where it was going, but I was
uh-huh.
like, okay, now I'm kind of interested in this.
Yep.
But yeah, it needed to happen a while ago. I'm sure they'll still have a great match between the two of them because they're
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah.
But yeah, it feels rushed.
So, and going back a few episodes, we've talked about this before about how when Josh was in that ring and he was talking, and Shelly comes in and just like turns on him. It was like,
Hmm.
and we're like, where did this come from? Like, this is so sudden. There was no build to it. It made no sense whatsoever. And then this happens, this way far down the road. I was like, why didn't you give us this like before that?
Hmm.
To explain why, because now I get it. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, I see why Shelly's pissed and all that. But before I was like, up until this point, I had no idea what this fight was all about. I had
Yeah.
no clue. And then this happened, and then I got excited because then it was like, oh, good. And then one of my favorite moments of this whole thing is at the very end of it, and uh, Alex Shelley, Alex Shelley says, "You always liked him better than me." I was like, "You're always taking his side." I was like,
Yep.
"Oh
Yep.
my god!" I was like, "Are we a little childish right now?" I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh my god!" It was so great, and Josh was just very much like kept together, and was
Hmm.
like, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Okay, and I got a little excited about this a little bit more, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It's literally like siblings fighting.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I love this. Now I love it. Now that I'm like,
Hmm.
I understand it. Now I have something invested, something I can hold on to. I was like, I
Hmm.
get it. I get why you're pissed now. I didn't know why you were pissed before. Now I do. So now I'm on board with it. Okay, let's do this. So I got excited about this after the after the conflict and all of that. So yeah, so they'll Bound for Glory. They'll be there. Alex Shelley defends the world title against Josh Alexander. We're gonna see what happens because this one's got me a little on the fence. So I'm curious to see how this one goes. Yeah. So we go through a lot of the cards of what's happening on Bound for Glory. We've got, of course, Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander. And of course, we've got Mickey James challenging Trinity for the Knockouts World title. And then, of course, the match that I'm really kind of excited about is the Will Ospreay and Mike Bailey fight. Now that I know a little bit more about both of them, I'm really kind of excited about this match. Of course, Chris Sabin will defend the X Division title against Kenta. Moose PCO, I know. Steve Macklin at Monsters Ball. We'll see what that is. Then, of course, the 20 competitors vie for the title shot for the choosing the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which I'm also kind of excited about. Yeah. You know, I've never seen a Call Your Shot Gauntlet, so I'm really kind of interested to see that one. Of course, the Impact World Tag Team titles are up for grabs as the Rascals defend against ABC. That's going to be a fun one, I think. And then, of course, Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steelz challenge MK Ultra for the Knockout World Tag Team titles, and that'll all be at Bound for Glory. And I really, after this episode, after the stuff that we've already talked about, I was really worried. I mean, I'm still a little worried because I don't know what we're going to get. And because this episode did not give me anything. And so I'm a little like, oh God, are we going to have to rely on just the talent matches themselves? Is there going to be any connection to anything? I mean, it's like, I was a little worried about it. So, but no, I think I'm okay. We'll see. I mean, and of course, we do have the Hall of Fame inductions of Mike Tenay and Don West, and then Tracy Brooks, of course, which I'm excited about as well.
I think the Hall of Fame inductions with what they've done, the package that they did, for them, and just kind of promoting it and kind of showing what they've done for Impact specifically, which really, when you look at it across the board with, especially with West and Tenay, they're up there with some of the classic announcers and commentators, and especially, it's like you think about what folks like JR did for WWE, and kind of the impact that they had, no pun intended. But I think then, like the moment with Kazarian in the ring, kind of announcing it, to kind of getting to unveil it to his wife, and surprising her and their kid coming in, and all that kind of stuff. I think that could be a really, really nice bit of moments with those inductees into the Hall of Fame. And it's nice to see a Hall of Fame like that for some of these folks that aren't going to get it into the WWE, which is obviously the more recognized one, just because they're a bigger company. But I found myself getting emotionally invested and kind of happy for those folks getting to be in there, even though not all of them are still around to kind of see it, but for their family and friends getting to, and all the performers who knew him and, kind of, had those relationships. So, I think with that, along with some of these matches, it could be good. I'm really hoping that what they do on Saturday will hopefully lay the groundwork for what's going to happen moving forward, because not a lot's been done previously. And it kind of feels like some things are kind of up in the air, and I'm hoping that's not because they don't know what they're doing, but that they're now setting up for the next storylines. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping too. I'm hoping that this pay-per-view is we're laying this to rest, and this is where we're going now. And I'd be like, yes, please, because we need to put where we're at. We need to put this to bed.
Yeah,
because now we're getting into like weird, surreal dreams happening, and I'm like, we need to get out of this. Let's get on to something else, please. So, all right. So then we get into our main event, and of course, I enjoyed this match. You know, as because for the most part, I tend to love the women's matches. And this, of course, this is Knockout World Champion Trinity and Mickey James versus Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. And of course, Jay Vidal has to be there, of course. Um, and I'll let you take this one first. And then,
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think I would like to see Sean Evans kind of go into the Knockouts tag team division. I think there's enough I feel like Jordan Grace is probably going to be the next one in line to be the direct challenge for the Knockouts title now that she's back. So I think using someone like Sean Evans to kind of go into the tag team division. I think even if they won the titles, they could be really good heel champions. Um, that whole clique of the three of them do a really good job with what they do. And Shaw, every time that she's out there, she looks better and better. And the two of them in this match, really, I thought they did a really smart thing with the fact that you have two veterans like Mickey James and Trinity who have wrestled, I mean, just all over and in some of the biggest stages that they could wrestle on, going against a pair of women who have tagged and been together, worked together much more consistently. So it was really good storytelling of two experienced singles wrestlers facing off against an experienced tag team, which enabled obviously Sean Evans to get the upper hand for most of the match, really playing into those tag team tropes, which, I'm a huge tag team fan. I love it. They did a great job distracting the referee, getting in some extra shots, aggravating their opponent's partner to get them in to distract the referee. I thought it was fun when there was the moment when I think it was Shaw and Jay Vidal got taken out by Trinity, which was great. I love that Vidal is just out there to take all of the bumps when someone needs to get beat up. And he does it perfectly.
oh, he does.
Um, and I thought it was a great showing for all four women. Um, it it's hard because obviously you're not going to put the champion and the challenger into a match where they're going to do too much as far as to take away from the story that's leading up to it. But I feel like because there's not a rivalry or animosity or any of that stuff, you could get away with a match like this because you do have Shaw, who has wrestled Trinity before, has been interested in that title match. She's talked about the fact that she's going to be in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, which could mean that she could go after the title, though they did point out several times during this match that winning the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match gives you a shot at they said at an Impact Championship. And they never specified the World Championship. They never specified the Knockout Championship. So they could go after the tag team, the Knockout, the digital media. Depending on who wins it, they could go after any of the titles that they're qualified to go after. Um, so I think it was a really good way of building up really all four performers, especially when you had Evans in there, who was just looked like a monster compared to the other three. And she's even getting better every time I see her too. She's probably uh, one of the better powerhouse women wrestlers right now. And I think the pair of them work really well together. And then, of course, we got great moments from Mickey James and Trinity, always looking solid like they do. This was probably my second favorite match of the night. Just because that first one really took it for me in just the execution of the wrestling. Um, but the matches that were there to tell some stories didn't really tell the stories or invest me anymore in them. So it really came down to the opening and the closing matches that kind of took it for me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they did a great job. I'm looking forward to James versus Trinity. It's going to probably be one of the top matches of the night. And Evans and Shaw, every time they come out, I'm more interested to see what they're going to do. So
Yeah, I agree. I hope Evans and Shaw. I hope they do more
Hmm.
because I agree with you. This was such and I love the one of the things I loved about this match was that I didn't feel that Evans and Shaw were outgunned.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, because like you said, you had two veterans and two newer folks, and you think,
Hmm.
oh, the veterans are going to kick some butt because they're both, Trinity and Mickey James are still in their prime. They're still
Hmm.
great. They're amazing, but I truly felt like they were well matched.
Hmm.
And I mean, we even saw. I mean, they were taking Trinity down. Man,
Hmm.
Trinity was taking a beating in this match.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just like, okay, all right then. And so, and I will agree with you. This was probably my second favorite match of the night because the first one was my favorite, the opening match. And uh, even though I love me some Trinity, she's like I said, she's one of my favorite wrestlers,
Hmm.
and I love Mickey. Actually, I loved all four of these women. Actually, to be quite
Hmm.
honest, they were just so well matched. And this is, and I was really kind of hoping that this match would have taken my one spot, but I was a little. It was still a little,
Hmm.
but yeah. But I really enjoy. I did enjoy this, and of course, Trinity and Mickey James defeat Giselle and Savannah and Jay. You're right. He took a beating in this one. It was great. I love that, and I will say this is one of the things I do love about Jay Vidal is he'll take that beating. He'll be like, oh yeah, I'm up for whatever you want me to do, and I
Yeah.
love that. And I love that. Of course, after this match, Trinity and Mickey they celebrate. Right? They both grab hold of the title, and which foreshadowing to the pay per view, and then Impact goes off the air. Um, and yeah, and so we'll do some final thoughts, and then we'll do our rating, and then we'll go into predictions
All right.
for final thoughts on this episode.
Um, my biggest issue with this episode was there was over twice as many promos and packages and segments like that as there were actual matches. We had 5 matches. When we were talking about Ring of Honor, um, I realized that Ring of Honor this week and Impact were almost the same length of shows, and Ring of Honor had over twice as many matches. A couple of them were squash matches. So yeah, I didn't even rank those. They were good for what they were, but they're super quick matches. But the fact that they had that many in a similar amount of time was just crazy because it was so much time that was just eaten up by things that were either just telling me the same thing I already knew, they weren't advancing the story, or I just wasn't interested in them. Um, I will say that again, the fact that there were 5 matches, and I think how many of them we had two. I guess there were 6 matches if you count the pre card match, which 2 of the 6 matches were women's matches. They're getting a higher ratio than a lot of the other companies, which was good. I thought they had 2 really good matches on this card, but they also had a pretty heavy stinker in one of the matches. Um, so yeah, I'd like to get a little less talking and a little more action, a little more storytelling in both of those pieces. So that was kind of what my thought was for it.
Yeah, I'm always telling Mikey is like they talk too damn much. It's like get to the fights, get to the matches. That's what we're here
Yeah.
for. Tell the story through the matches.
Yes.
You don't need to tell us backstage stuff. I mean, every once in a while it's fun to see a fun little thing,
Hmm.
but don't don't try to tell your stories through your backstage stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, no, tell it through the matches. Because that's where the characters interact with each other. That's where they form their bonds or their antitheses of bonds and sort of enemies and frenemies and all that. It's in the matches, not in that crap backstage. So I mean, I'm with you on this. I mean, truly, it was full of stuff that I think was basically unnecessary. Could have done without it, and I think none of us would have been any of the wiser. It would not, because it didn't affect anything for Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the stinker match of the night could have just not happened. And again, I don't think any of us would have been any the wiser. It's like, because it didn't advance the story, it didn't do anything. So I'm in the same boat you are. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Cross the board. So all right, so rating.
Hmm.
What's your rating,
So,
sir?
so this one was interesting because there were so few matches. My rating came out higher than I expected, but that's because of how the averages kind of worked out. So out of 10, I gave it a 7 out of 10. But because so much of it was dragged down by the overwhelming imbalance of action versus repetitive talking, I took away a point from it. So this card for me was a 6 out of 10. So they get a D.
That's fair. I also gave it a 6 out of 10 because, well, you saw
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, honestly, I mean, I can sit here and we can say the exact same things over and over and over again, but it was 6 out of 10 for me. Just see the previous part of this video. All right, so let's get to the exciting bit, which is our predictions for Bound for Glory. And then I've got Mikey's predictions as well, and his and mine are almost identical,
Mhm.
actually. There was one that I'm a little iffy on, maybe two I'm a little iffy on, but we'll see. So, what are your predictions, Andrew?
So I went in order of how they are laid out online. So for the first match, Will Ospreay versus Mike Bailey. I'm pretty sure that Ospreay is going to come away with this. He's got too big of a name value. They already have already said he's going into another match at Turning Point. So I don't think he's losing any steam. He's definitely not losing when he's in another promotion, and especially against Mike Bailey. As fun as that match is going to be, Ospreay's coming out on top for me. For the second match, Chris Sabin, I think, is going to win that. I would love for Kenta to win that match, kind of implying that maybe he's going to stick around for a little while longer. But since we haven't been given any indication that that's the case, I think Sabin's coming out of that with that title, the X Division title, that is. Then the Knockouts tag title. I'm going to go against the grain on this one. I'm going to say that Perazo and Steels win the titles because I feel like they're going to give it to two top names that can hold it for a little while, have a little bit of success, revitalize the tag team division, and then have their falling out that's going to cost them the titles to another tag team. I think if it was another pair of women that were going in there to wrestle at MK Ultra, I would say no problem. MK Ultra's walking out of there with it. That's my pick. Not going to be surprised if MK Ultra walks out as the champions. For the men's tag team title, I think ABC is going to win this. I think they've built it up enough that they're going to be able to defeat the underhanded cheaters.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so that's what I'm hoping for, and I'd like to see. Um, for the Collier Shot gauntlet match, I I'm really hoping this is kind of a wishful prediction. Is I would like to see Jake Something win this. I know he's coming in at number one. I'd like to see them push him as the just workhorse that just plows through everybody to get to the end, not without some challenges. But I think Jordan Grace might also win this. I think this might be her move into challenging for that knockouts title, but we'll see. That's my fun pick. For the Monsters Ball, I think Moose is winning it. If he loses, he's the one that if he loses the most. As where everybody else doesn't either. It doesn't serve anybody for anyone else to really win it. The only way I see someone else winning this is if Macklin pins Rhino or defeats Rhino or PCO to win the match. Um, And then the Knockouts title, I think Trinity's winning it just because she's going to be staying around. I think this was a way to kind of give Mickey James another go at a top spot in Impact before doing whatever else she's going to do. And then I think Josh Alexander is going to take the world title. I think he's gonna take it in some way or another, and Alex Shelley's just gonna absolutely lose it when he loses his title. Um, those are my picks. Some of them are based on just logic of how things get laid out, and some of it are based on what I'd like to see happen. So
That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, Mikey and I had some very similarities. Some of them were different. Some of ours were very similar. So we both believe Osprey's going to win against Mike Bailey. I mean, I couldn't even imagine that. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. No, I just couldn't. No. We both picked Saban to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes total sense. I mean, yeah, Kenta. I've been watching some of his stuff, and I really kind of like him, but Kenta came out of nowhere, and I just don't think that that's a. I personally am just like I can't see that. I just can't see that happening. So, Mikey said he thinks that MK Ultra is going to win their match. I went with the opposite. I actually went with Tasha and Deanna. I think you're right, actually, because I didn't really think of it like that, but I was like, no, that makes total sense. I was just like, I think because they've been playing MK Ultra up so much that it just, to me, it feels like it's a foil. Like they're like, oh yeah, so everyone's like, yeah, MK Ultra, and then they get annihilated. So I went with Perazzo and Steels. Mikey went with Rascals. I went with ABC. Only because, and this is just because of personal reasons. I think we were across the board with on the Monster Ball. All of us were Moose for sure. I think for sure. We were all for Trinity as well against Mickey James. He did not pick a gauntlet choice, but mine was Jake something as well because I love the idea of him having to go in first.
Yep.
And just, and then coming back at the end and just sort of taking it, basically. I just love that idea. So we'll see. And Mikey said Alex Shelley over Josh Alexander, and I said Josh over Alex. Because I don't know, I just don't think you reward that type of behavior. He was so childish. I'm just like, no, I cannot see. I cannot. You were so wah. Your daddy's favorite. And I'm just like, and he's another one. And again, I just think it's because this rivalry, whatever this is, just happened out of nowhere. And I don't think they built it right. And I just think that, to me, it doesn't feel like Alex Shelley should win. I just didn't feel like it. So yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So all right, so that brings us to the end of the evening of our Impact review for the Go Home Show before we hit our pay-per-view on Saturday with Bound for Glory. You've heard our. I know I'm kind of excited about it. I'm cautiously excited about it. Because I'm just like, after watching this episode, I'm just sort of like, okay, maybe this was just the junk drawer show, and what we're going to get is like the Mercedes in the garage. So I'm hoping. So, but hey, you'll have to come back and watch us review the pay-per-view. We'll have Mikey back with us. Yay!
Nice.
So you'll have all three of us to deal with next time. But yeah, so make sure you go check out the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Again, it's happening this Saturday. And yeah, so thanks for joining us. If you like us, please follow us on all all the social medias under Biconics. And you'll see a little QR code will pop up when this video is released. You can scan that. It'll take you right to our link tree, sending you to all of our socials. Please go and follow us on all those. If you want to see previous recordings, you can check us out on the YouTubes under Biconic Wrestling. But yeah, so until next time, everybody, keep being groovy, and we'll see you later.